Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Activities for People Living at Home with Dementia. We are proud to offer this series with funding from the Area Agency on Aging and the United Way of Tarrant County. Some of these videos are recorded and some are made available for viewing through a YouTube channel for future use. I am Martha Brown, your host for today's activities. Today, we are bringing to you the Amon Carter Museum of American Art. Peggy Spear is going to show us art about hotels. Peggy, since you're on vacation, that's perfect. Let's show us some pictures.
It felt a little fitting. I actually found what prompted the topic was I was looking at the database for one of the artists that we have, and I found a really cool, I guess it was a preparatory drawing, which kind of sparked it. And then there was nothing as cool as the preparatory drawing, but we stuck with the theme anyway.
Okay.
So this was what I found, and I thought it's just so, I don't know, fun and funky. It's called Hotel de France. Tell me what you see.
Oh, wow.
Tall buildings.
A tall building, a couple of tall buildings, yep.
Looks like a building that has maybe some signs on it. Maybe they're neon signs, or I don't know. Maybe they're just drawings.
Like right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're right. That is an advertisement like kiosk, like you would see in Europe, where it's usually got like a green lid to it, and you can walk around it, and there are flyers or advertisements for concerts or looking for jobs, that type of thing. So you're exactly right. That is what this is. Whoop. What else?
Is that a water fire hydrant, or is it too big?
This, it might be a fountain, it might be a fire hydrant, but it's something water feature. I think you're right. This kind of makes me laugh. Do you see what this thing is right here in between what we think is fire hydrant? Gosh, I'm sorry, y'all. The fire hydrant and the advertisement kiosk. Any guesses on what that is?
It's shaped like a rocket.
It's a urinal.
Oh.
But it's sort of built together with that advertisement.
It looks like it is, but it's kind. He's playing with your perspective, which is very common with Davis. So here you can see kind of the like flourishing, the little lip, and then that goes down straight, and then that's behind it. The urinal's off behind it.
Okay.
Okay.
I've gone all day and not guessed that one.
Me neither. I was thinking like, oh, is that a newspaper vendor? Like it would never have crossed my mind.
I was going to suggest it.
Well, you're so European, you would have known.
It's like European
Nobody to do.
In France, you have this.
So, and then we see right here, we see a lamppost.
Yes.
Things are layered. He spent Stuart Davis. We've looked at artworks of his in the past. And they're all some of them are more realistic than others, but he did the Bass Rocks, which was the person swimming, but it was actually just an H and there were squiggles, and you might not, it was a lot of colors and shapes. He spent he's an American, but he spent a lot of time in France. And so he stayed in Paris for 14 months. And during his time in Paris, he created a number of lithographs and paintings inspired by this particular neighborhood in Paris, where he was often staying or visiting. And so I know I'm not saying it right. Montparnasse, the neighborhood in Paris.
Montparnasse.
Yeah. Okay, good. And so, yeah, so anyway, so this is an actual hotel, at least it was at the time, that he decided to sketch, and then later he made into a painting, which I believe St. Louis Art Museum or the Nelson Atkins in Kansas City owns, but there is a colorful version of this that exists. So he's got, he's influenced very much by Parisian, by French, by European modernists at the time, like Cubist. What here, I mean, not getting into the movement, but do you see that Cubist type of feeling to this?
Yeah.
Yeah. The buildings.
The buildings, they're kind of fractured in a little bit of a funny way. And you see, it's very hard, very angular, a lot of hard angles. We're only really seeing a few rounder edges that keep your eye kind of within it. And then, you know, he's adding his doodles in, as he often does with his, you know, abstract organic shapes. Do you like this, or what do we think?
I like it.
I like it.
I
Yeah,
like it.
that's a good one.
It is a good one.
I'll have to look up, see if I can see the color version of it.
Yeah, it should be relatively easy to find. Okay, so yeah, and so he often works in a lot of bright colors. So for him to be doing this, this urban landscape that's a little, that's black and white, but then that's pretty realistic for his landscapes. If this was before he started going fully abstract. And he was
But
born
what
in,
does, oh, sorry.
oh no,
Peggy.
go ahead.
This lithograph and chine collé, what does that mean?
Yeah, you know, I
Hmm.
think I wrote, okay, so it's thin tissue paper cut to the size of the actual paper. And then it's the larger paper is the heavier real paper is the support. And then the tissue paper is put on top of it with the lithograph.
Mm,
Okay.
okay.
So, and they're like run through the plate at the same time. So there's a little bit of bleed through. It gives texture and layer to it to create this kind of look. Because you can kind of see it does have that layered effect happening. Okay, so we're leaving this hotel and we're going to another hotel that Davis saw during his time in Paris. It's still in that same visit. And this is just graphite on paper. So with a lithograph, you know that he was in studio. Every line was very deliberate and thought through. Whereas this graphite on paper, he might have been sitting on a park bench and decided to sketch something like this. There's a lot more of an impromptu feeling to this. So can you tell me what you see here?
I like the open window flapping, the curtain flapping outside.
Isn't that darling?
My guess is that's what inspired him.
You think so? That's like what drew him in, you think?
That's what I think, yes.
What draws everyone else in?
The entranceway to the sidewalk that goes that the hotel's on and the other businesses are on, it looks like.
It like pulls you back down the
Pulls it back in there, yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if he was sitting at a little cafe, because it almost looks like those yellow spots are drippings of some sort.
Doesn't it has a little coffee stained heel to it, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
I bet it is.
You know, he was
Great
sitting at a little
observation.
Starbucks cafe and just drawing, you know, what he saw.
Yeah, and you almost get the sense like he's on the other side of the street, presumably
Yeah.
sitting at a table. 'Cause
Yeah.
It almost looks like
I
there's
wonder
like
if he
a
did it on a
street.
napkin.
Say it again, Steve.
I wonder if he did it on a napkin.
It's on paper, so we know it's not a napkin. That would have been
Okay.
identified. But yeah,
Well, a napkin is paper too, you know, so you just have to.
but that would be identified as a napkin. You are technically correct. Not that type of paper, though. Yeah, he probably walked around with his sketchbook a lot, knowing how Davis's creative process was. He probably had a sketchbook with him, and you can see there might be. It looks like it might have even been pulled from a book, because you've got rounded edges on one side, but firmer edges on the other, or crisper edges on the other.
Looks like a piece of tape at the top right.
Yeah.
It does. You're right.
Mhm.
And this
It's
sweet
the-
little lantern that just
Yeah, I like that, yeah. Did you think that's a gas lantern?
it could have been that time of the.
Yeah.
And it looks just like the last lantern in his other one.
Mhm. Yeah, it's got that
It does.
round
Yeah, that same shape.
Pretty close. Yeah.
and some
It's a
vine.
good eye.
It just looks very Parisian and charming, and someplace you would want to sip your coffee and read a newspaper.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
He was able to do a lot in just a few lines and sketches. I mean, this is all someplace it seems like we want to go, or
Yeah.
So Peggy, now that you mentioned what was in the first painting, I keep looking for urinals in this drawing.
Yeah, I know. Doesn't that change your perception of
Yeah,
whatever?
it does a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think we're seeing it. I wonder what maybe this might be, if it's a
Well,
phone.
I
booth
wasn't
or
gonna say
entrance.
anything, but yeah, maybe.
Do you know what I think it is?
Tell
I
us.
think it's a door that's open.
Yeah, that's what makes
Oh.
more sense.
Yes. Okay. I love that.
It looks like there's smoke coming out of it.
They're burning
Yeah.
their baguettes.
Or the ivy, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the IV,
Oh,
okay.
I went
Ivy.
with the Ivy route myself, but
Okay.
yeah, right. Like they would burn a baguette there. They know what they're doing. Okay. So now we're leaving dreamy Paris to go to
Oh, no. There we go.
Minneapolis.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I get it. I get the similarities.
Right. You know, just
It's a building.
building, right? It exists. So
But
this,
not as
say it again, Yetta.
not as charming as the French hotels.
No, not at all.
You're
But
right.
this was built in 1910, so it was a big, built in 1909, opened in 1910, and it has this very Italianate. So while we're not actually in Europe, we can feel like we're in Europe when we enter the lobby, and it was a lot of marble and mahogany, and they had commissioned mural artists from Chicago to come and install things throughout the hotel. So it had a very modern, it was like state of the art when it first opened. And then, so this is a halftone print. This is kind of like what newspaper print type of thing. So this was a postcard though. So it not big, it's just 5 by 3 inches. And it was home of the Robin Hood room. Like this is something that it was like touting as something to be famous for. And it was famous for its charcoal broiled steaks.
Ooh.
Right. You just go get you a steak in that Robin Hood room and you had you a time. And so this was the most centrally located hotel in Minneapolis at the time. So it really was, I mean, by Minneapolis standards, this really was kind of the jewel in the crown of what Minneapolis tourism was, and a draw for a lot of people. And it was in the business district, it was in the shopping district. So again, it was good for a visit, a business visit, or a leisure vacation. And then they started doing renovations in 1950. So I don't think it looks the way it was renovated to be updated. And I don't think it looks the way that it did then. Have any of you been to Minneapolis before?
No.
Never.
Hi.
Steve, did you stay at the Dykeman?
No.
I've
No.
been to the airport, but not to the town.
Yeah, I've never been.
Huh? You don't remember?
Oh, but this was fun. Something kind of funny about it. This particular hotel was accused of smuggling liquor during the Prohibition. So
No.
it was
Oh,
a
right.
party hotel.
Come on. Not yeah.
Sounds like it might have been, you get you a steak and get you a martini on the down low and then go up. to
That's
the-
right.
Well, you know what? There's probably a badge of honor back then that you were pulling something over the government.
Yeah, right.
There was a lot of bootleg smuggling in northern Minnesota during that time.
Well, we
And
found an
that's,
accused location of one of those bootleggers. So,
Dun, dun, dun.
so anyway, so this is again a postcard, which makes sense for a hotel because these are, these would be, oh, let's go tell our friends in Chicago where we were or whatever, kind of a bragging right, kind of something fun. And this is when hotels, we were on the brink of war, but people were traveling within the United States. Okay, so again, not the most exciting. We're in Wichita Falls, Texas now.
Oh, air conditioned.
Yes, air conditioned, which would have been like ritzy Ritz luxury of the day.
Mm-hmm.
So can you notice some of the stuff on the first floor?
1940.
Coca-Cola.
Oh
Looks
yeah,
like shops.
Coca-Cola. Yeah, there's a shop. There's a couple of shops. You can make it out. It says cafe here.
Yeah.
And then over here, it's a movie theater.
Where?
Majestic.
Oh, I see it. Yeah.
Majestic.
Or where? I don't see where.
On
where
the
you're
far
pointing.
right,
All right.
Oh,
it's
okay.
on the lower building and it's got
Oh,
looks like a
okay,
neon
there.
light.
Yeah.
With the marquee. So again, this well air conditioned Kemp Hotel was in the center of Wichita Falls. It was a real draw because it was near food and entertainment. We've got automobiles that looked like they might have been kind of cush automobiles of the day. So you had kind of that, again, that elite status, that luxury.
Yeah.
Their coffee shop was unexcelled, or yeah, everyone else unexcelled compared to them. They had a drugstore at the bottom. And this was a 9-story building. So it was all hotel. And then it was 2 elevators, which again, elevators were a big deal. And then now I think it was torn down.
Oh, really? That's
Yeah, it doesn't exist anymore. And if you Google this hotel, you can find there was like an apartment building that went up almost in the exact footprint of this hotel. Yeah, so now it's a residence versus, but wouldn't that be so fun if they turned it into a residence and it was this old brick hotel?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a very pretty building.
Yeah.
Like the Montgomery Ward building in Fort Worth.
Yes. Yeah, that's a great comparison. Yeah, so this I've never actually been to Wichita Falls, but I assume many of you have, either if you've driven through and stopped at a cafe or actually have family that lives there. So if you were on a hunt, you would not be able to find this. You would find the Crescent. Oh, it used to be then the Crescent Plaza Hotel, and then it shut down, and now it's an apartment. It was torn down, and now it's an apartment building. So little Texas trivia for you.
Ooh.
And that was a postcard as well. This is a postcard. So this is how hotels did a lot of advertising or spreading the word of where they were, because then it was, oh, this is something that was hanging on your refrigerator, or this was something, oh, I didn't even know this was a hotel that you're mailing to. Maybe we should go. So this was a very common way that people bragged about their trips, but also learned about places to go and visit. So here we've got another postcard of Hotel Coronado in
Tent City.
California.
California. Have any of you been to Hotel Del, they call it, Steve?
No,
Oh,
but I've been
No.
to Coronado.
Coronado. Okay, yeah.
Tent City. Tent City.
It's real. So if you've been to Coronado, then you can't help but see the hotel. It's massive. It's got orange roofs. It's beautiful. You can go in and just eat, or you can be staying at the resort. But it was built to be just that, a resort. There were a few guys that found it, that went to the island and were obsessed with the beauty and wanted to make this a destination for people to go to and enjoy the beauty. So they started building these, let me make sure I'm getting it right. They started building in it was totally built in 1888. It became a national landmark in 1977. And it was made with like a bajillion different types of wood, which is really cool. They had from all over California. So I want to make sure I'm listing some of the woods: hemlock, white oak, cedar, Douglas fir, redwood. So it was a real archaeological bringing together of things, all these different materials. And it was so it was designed to be this beautiful resort. Well, a lot of people couldn't afford to stay in this resort. I mean, it has ballrooms and spas and all that, everything you would expect a resort to have, gardens. So they basically built like a little city next to it called Tent City, where the regular folk could go on vacation there. While it wasn't Coronado, it was Coronado adjacent, or Hotel Coronado adjacent. And so they called it Tent City, and it would function just like a little town. So you can see the trolley running through it. You can see how evenly spaced all the homes were. The cute little cabana. I mean, so they were actually tents, and they kind of look like today's cabanas. But it was not at all the luxury or the connection to the real hotel itself.
Have you been there, Peggy?
I've been just for cocktails at the actual hotel, but I don't even remember looking at like what now was Tent City. Have you been?
Yeah, Paula and I were there several years ago now. But I was thinking they have one corridor on the lower level headed out towards the beach that is just absolutely full of photographs that you would just find so interesting. They're people who have stayed there, different events and things like that. It's just
Oh,
really
how
fun.
fun.
Pictures.
How cool. So I went to the website itself because they give a really good and detailed history about the construction and evolution. And there are some historic photographs in there, which were really cool to see. So I can only imagine the like large collection of how cool all those photographs are. And so, yeah, so here are some of the, so they bought the hotel and then they sold the land around it to residents to pay for the hotel. So the whole island is not just a hotel. There's some others who get to call that home. But here's some of the hallmarks of this resort. And so Phil and Paulette, you probably walked through some of these areas. The courtyard, the pavilion tower, the dining room, the iconic red roofed ballroom, parlors, billiard rooms, luxurious rooms with garden patios. So it was really meant to be a retreat in what the three founders of the hotel thought was the most beautiful spot in all of America.
Is this on a peninsula?
I think it's an island, if I remember.
Yeah, it looks like an island.
Okay, because I see ships, I see sailboats on the right, and then on the left, I see what looks like ocean.
Yeah.
So it seems-
Yeah, and I'm not sure what the island, yeah.
It looks like the island is like a wave break or something because it's got.
Yes, wave break, that, yes, so that they could come in softly.
Right.
That makes sense.
I just remember there were a lot
I
of,
guess you're all aware that Coronado Island is where the Navy does its SEAL training.
No.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you, Phil. Wow.
and there's a lot of seals there. Do you remember that, Phil? All of the seals that were there, kind of like how San Diego, it like kind of like La Jolla. It did not smell good to me because there's so many seals there. Not Navy SEALs, actual seals.
Well, maybe the same thing. I don't know.
Or right, or one or the, I don't know. They were so stealth, I couldn't even tell. All right, I think I have one more. No, that was it. Those are our hotels.
Oh,
Yay.
We went from Paris and ended in San Diego, so or outside San
Okay,
Diego.
actually Coronado is not an island.
Oh, it's not.
It's a peninsula.
Oh, it is. Okay, Martha, you were right. Look at
Yay.
you, little
It's actually-
cartographer.
It's actually, I would say, how do you think? It's kind of like there's a huge bay, and then there's a ring around it, with land around it, which is where the Coronado is.
Okay.
I don't know if I can.
Thank you,
Okay,
Steve.
I'm not describing it very well, but it's like you have it'd be a huge lake, and you got a ring around it. Okay, and
Mhm.
Coronado is one on the ocean edge of that, and it's a very thin peninsula, goes all
Okay.
the way, strand goes all the way up and down.
So really only one way in, one way out in terms of the
Well,
roadway.
there's actually two ways in because they have a bridge,
Oh, they do.
that
Okay.
comes up. Yeah.
Well, you'd think it'd have to be a pretty big size place if the Navy SEALs did their training there.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
They have a bridge that goes over into the naval base, but then you've got that whole long peninsula as you drive up from the mainland.
I was wondering when we saw the trolley line, how you get there.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
It's not very far from Tijuana.
Tijuana?
Yes, not very far at all.
I've been there.
Oh, cool.
So anyway, the trolley went along what would be now Highway 75, going up into that. But until they built the bridge for the naval station, there was only one way up onto that area,
Okay. Cool.
peninsula.
Steve,
Yeah.
you're in a different room today.
I'm up in my media room. Sue's downstairs.
Ah,
and,
Okay. more places I
And
didn't know
have
about.
to move on at another call, so we will see you guys tomorrow.
Bye,
All right.
Steve.
Bye-bye. Bye, Steve.
All right, guys, and I'm back
Bye.
next week with, let me make sure I'm getting it right. Our theme will be beaches, but as it turned out, it's only Coney Island beaches. So we're going to Coney Island next week.
All
Coney
right.
Island. All
All
right.
right, friends. All right. Well,
Good.
have a good week and I will see you next Wednesday. Okay.
All
Thanks,
right.
Thanks,
Peggy.
Peggy.
Bye, Peggy.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Bye.
Okay.
Bye.